Gonna be a hot one today. We're already kind of set up. Tear this girl apart and see what we can do here. Like I said, Ford Ranger 22. It's got this kind of strange flat gray to it. I already got the paint. I think I'm gonna have to go get some primer and sealer. I'll have to check, but it's not really all that bad. This is a steel bumper down here, so this is getting replaced. This is plastic, and I think, you know, it's not really that bad for me to want to replace, so I'm gonna try to repair all of this stuff here. So we'll be able to salvage this. We're gonna replace this, we're gonna replace this, and believe it or not, we're gonna replace this because you got scratched. So insurance covered it, so we're gonna take care of that. So I've never taken one of these apart. I'm pretty sure they're just as basic as every other bumper. They all have kind of the same pattern. I have a feeling this wheel opening has to be popped out a little bit in order to access the interior of this plastic bumper. Sight shield's got to come off. I'm sure there's some mounts in here that are holding this grill together. So let's time lapse this out and see if we can knock this out this weekend. Where I start on most bumpers is always going to be on one corner. Usually the wheel liner, which I've got detached and kind of pushed back to give me access inside of here to see what's going on. But after some fishing around, I realized you have to pop this reflector off, and there's a T25 Torx bit that goes right here. That'll free this up enough for you to be able to see this clip, which is kind of a pain in the butt. I used a pry tool to kind of keep it open, and then you can take a small screwdriver and just poke the tabs, and then it eventually gives way. That should give us enough room to get this little, looks like an 8mm off here. Essentially what it's going to do is give me the opportunity to pull or start working my way off with this plastic bumper, and that will hopefully expose any hardware for this steel bumper. So this is definitely your first secret passage here. Just get the reflector off, get the Torx out. The wheel liner has these really cumbersome clips, and usually what I do is I use these fishing lure boxes, and I always go left to right based off of what side I'm starting on. So we're starting on the left side, so I'm filling all the stuff first. But these little clips are a pain in the butt. They don't always come out, but they're attached, two of them attached into the wheel liner. Here's the reflector you pop out, just a really thin screwdriver, and just give it a little tug. And then here's the T25. So this is all left-hand side right now. There's no need to label it yet. We'll see how technical it gets, but a lot of times as I'm moving forward with some of these really complicated bumpers, I'll take a piece of tape it over the top of the box, and then write down what area that came from. So let's keep going. Okay, so we're pretty loose. I want to show you kind of the other side here so you can kind of get an idea of, well, I guess the most technical part is this clip. It's triangular, so you'll have to push the two tabs in and then just kind of pry this out and it'll pop. So we're gonna try it over here on this side so you can kind of see the process. So we're gonna start by popping this off. First thing I'd recommend doing is unfastening this clip, and then there's one more like way back here. These are pretty stubborn. Sometimes you can unscrew them and they'll come out, and then it's like a push pin, but that'll give you the ability to reach back behind here and negotiate these clips that are holding this wheel opening on. So I'm going to attempt at trying to take this thing off. The other side was really easy. This side is being stubborn. So wish me luck. So once you get those clips off of the wheel liner, just move the wheel liner back. Pry it up. You can pry it up against the tire here. These reflectors have this clip here that you're going to have to really push in pretty hard in order to get that thing to break free. So it's kind of hard to see in there, but with the wheel liner out of the way, you can kind of expose this clip there, and then either get a flathead screwdriver. I think I might have used a needle nose, but sometimes panel popper will work. Tried to muscle this with my finger, but it just wasn't happening. So we'll see what happens here. Takes a little finagling, but you just gotta figure out a way to pry against this, and then that lever will close, and then it eventually pops out. And then with the reflector out, now you'll see that T25 Torx bit, and then there is actually, this is a 7mm that's up here, but the only way to access that is to partially move this, which again, those are the retainer clips that are in here that are kind of hard to negotiate, and I'd say even harder to video. So kind of see the motions I'm going through, and you'll probably figure it out. Yeah, so those retainer clips are pretty tricky, but right on the top of this is a tab that you could take a small tool, small screwdriver, press that one tab, it releases the top portion of it, but then you got to really finagle your way around this lip to get another small tool in there to pop that other tab out, so you have clearance in here, and now you can see the 7mm. So we'll unbutton that. In the meantime, I've already got rid of the sight shield. Pretty self-explanatory. These are all just push pins, and then 2 10mm. So this driver's side is already done. You can see I'm pretty loose, and typically I'll always do one side, and then I'll go to do another side, and that'll start to give me the ability to see if I can free up the rest of this bumper. Well, every newer version of a car, every time I get into a bumper, is always some sort of mystery. Typically this would be ready to break free, but something is creating a lot of pressure right here. So I always tell people, when you run into issues where you feel an extensive amount of pressure, check where that source is coming from. You can see it's pretty loose over here, but there is definitely something that's in this area that's really secure. So fish around, start looking around. I have a bad feeling there might be some trick to taking the entire bumper system off in order to remove this top portion. Fishing around, I'm seeing some Torx bits down here, another one way over there, another one right there. So probably gonna have to get underneath now and start just unbuckling all the bottom and any of the stuff that looks like it's exposed. This bracket, I would track it up to, and I feel that it's attached to the grill. So that thing probably isn't going anywhere yet until we remove these. And while we're down here, let's just get all this stuff off too. I don't think we're gonna have to worry about the skid plate. That looks pretty independent. But yeah, this bottom portion is probably gonna need to be unbuckled too, so. All right, well, let's start unzipping these, see what we have to do next. And this is my first Ranger, and I'm having to teach myself how to do this R&I on this, so. While I'm in the process of learning and teaching at the same time, now's a good time to start labeling all of your hardware because you don't want to get lost. You never know how much hardware is holding this thing together, so start labeling your stuff so that way you don't get confused back on the installation. All right, here we go. Okay, bumper is off. There was a lot of stuff that I did down at the bottom of this. A lot of experimentation. Like I said, this is the first time I've ever done one of these, but I would tell you that the if I had to redo it, what I probably would have done is start from the bottom. This piece right here, it comes off. This was damaged. The black part we're going to reuse. This middle piece we're going to replace. But that gave me access to, well, this looks like an internal impact bar. Is all it really is. Extremely heavy. But they built the impact infrastructure into the steel bumper here, which is actually, in retrospect, pretty convenient to get the front bumper off, because all you got to do now is just hit the, I think it was a 21 millimeter, like 6 of them on both of the end caps here on the frame rail, and the whole thing drops. One harness, actually a couple harnesses, and then it looks like the fun really begins, because all of this is going to have to be transferred over to the new bumper, which, whew, that's gonna be fun. But today we're focusing on this plastic piece up here because I want to get the body work done and cured overnight before I shoot it for paint. It's looking like this is probably gonna be a lot easier to get off now that that metal bumper isn't in the way, but I don't know, I'm still contemplating what's going on in here. Something holding it pretty tight, but we're halfway there, so stay at it. Well, it is definitely confirmed that lower bumper has to come off first. Take out that that black center piece, and then you'll see the brackets right here, all of those Torx bits. Actually, it looks like just one, because there's a bracket that holds onto this plastic piece. It looks pretty sturdy. So, yeah, bottom bumper for, well, got to take out the center black piece there, bottom bumper, and then undo your brackets. You can see I got kind of ahead of myself on this, but all of that gear was going to have to come out anyway. If you remember, I started kind of like on the sides and then went down the bottom, but again, all of this gear has to be transferred over. So that's going to be, this is why I say it's important to label everything because it can get confusing, but there is always a pattern. You'll see it eventually. And again, this is my first one, so not bad so far. Well, the final key in this whole thing, just above the headlight. It's gonna be hard to see, but you'll see this this area right here tucked into the headlight. It's a 13, and it's holding on to this entire, it's the same thing. It's got this whole infrastructure inside of it. So that was the last piece to get it off. But boy, they hide it and they make you question it. But I think we're there. So let's get it off and onto the bench. Almost forgot about this part too. Right there is a push pin, and that's holding a portion of this, so you got to get that out too. I didn't mention it, but there's a secondary little shield that's underneath the hood latch. You got to take out a little 7mm, pretty easy. Got to kind of peel this back to get it out, but that gives you access to see those push pins and the ability to see the last two keys to unlock this bumper. So yeah, pretty easy. You just get in there, pry that push pin, pop it open, and then yeah, after you remove those two 13s, now your front bumper's off and she's naked. Parental discretion advised. Oh, hey. Anybody want some Whataburger? There's a lot going on here. Like every time I take something apart, like if I run out of room in these boxes, I'll actually bag up the hardware that I used in that general area to get to where I was to the next stage. So that's another little trick. But organization's key, especially with all of these nuts and bolts and everything that's going on here. But you know, it looks intimidating, but if you've done a few bumpers, it's all kind of relative. So let's go. All right, the top plastic piece is off. I think I don't know. I'm still deciding if I'm going to leave the support in there to try to paint this. I think I could probably pull it off. To get that piece off, here's the front grille, the upper grille. You'll just depress these tabs and just slowly work your way around the perimeter to pop them loose. Actually, it looks like just this bottom half. Just these longer tabs here that you just push in, get your hand in there and kind of pop it out, and then just keep working it all the way down. There's no need to remove all these screws, obviously, unless, you know, the grill itself is damaged. But all we're working on today is this piece right now. We're going to do some body work on these scratches and dents, and just see if we can recondition this front piece. This is the steel bottom bumper. It's getting replaced. In retrospect and thinking about it, what I'm going to do is wait to do the install of all of the impact infrastructure after I'm done painting. So that way everything's in one place and I can just go step by step by step by step until I'm done. That way, if I take this all apart now and store it away, it's gonna potentially create an issue where I forget where everything goes or take me longer to remember. So I'm just gonna leave it intact for now until I'm ready to do the full install. We're gonna paint this, or we're gonna do the body work on this today, and hopefully get to the paint side of this tomorrow. I'm not sure. We'll see how much time we have, but yep, that's it. So let's get the sandpaper out and start prepping for paint. First things first, let's get everything clean. Wash it all down before we do any body work here. And whenever I do a front end, I always like to dress up the front end and make it look as pretty as possible. Like I'm even gonna clean up those fender flares, side shield, grill, the lower valance, and yeah, get it cleaned up. Let's get ready to start doing some body work. Cheers, buddy. Okay, well, I got the body work all done. Did a little bit of Bondo on some of the dents. And I'm just gonna throw some high build primer over the top of this, sand it down, try to get it smooth. Then we'll add some color to it. I think in order to make my life easier, I'm probably gonna just do this panel today. I'm a little worn out. It's Sunday. I didn't get as far as I wanted to yesterday, but that's the life of body shop. Always a day behind schedule. So anyway, time to lay some primer. So the lower steel bumper is prepped and primed. I'm gonna let this kind of cure and then probably wet sand it down, and then I'm going to put a sealer coat over it. In the meantime, while we're waiting for that to marinate, I'm going to shoot color on the upper portion. I'm going to do color and clear tonight on this. Maybe if we get lucky, I could get color and clear on this, but to be honest, this spray booth can only handle so many panels in one day before it just gets unbearable. I cleaned out my little filter system and it's running gangbusters. So the office still smells great, and actually the fog clears up in here in about 20 minutes. Just turn off all the fans and let the gravity take over. But let's get suited up and shoot some color. Well, we're making some progress here. Got the top bumper sprayed and cleared out. It's pretty well cured. I might just cut and buff it a little bit later, but I did the sealer coat on the lower steel bumper, and boy, I've got some sanding to do today, so that's what I'm doing. I always like to sand outside so I don't get a bunch of dust where everything's being painted. But yeah, I sprayed the heck out of this thing last night, and it is caked on here, so get ready to sand. So we're all buffed and polished out, mocked up. Pretty happy with this color match. Came in pretty good. Now we get to have the joy of putting this thing back together, and if memory serves me correctly, this top piece has to be installed first before that rear piece. So here we go. And don't forget to put your logo on first. Let's go get that right now. Nice. So far, so good. So just finished the color and clear on the lower bumper, and this came out pretty clean. Probably gonna have to do a little cut and buff just to dress it up a little bit. And I did this about an hour ago, so we're gonna let this kind of marinate overnight before I do any of the installs, because as you'll remember, this thing is full of gear and all that has to be transferred out. But in order to avoid any collateral damage during the install, I want at least 12 hours of cure time before we do that. So we're probably on track to have this vehicle delivered by tomorrow afternoon. In the meantime, I got quite a mess to clean up. I was expecting to have this done yesterday, but we got really busy. Had a bunch of cars that came in, so once again, always a day behind schedule. But tomorrow we'll put her back together and get it back to the customer. See you then. Well, good morning. It's a beautiful day today, and this is the last day for our Ranger patient. Everything cured pretty nicely. I got a couple of runs I'm gonna have to deal with here, but it's taken me a while to really get used to this new gun that I've been using for clear coat, and sometimes I get a little carried away, but I should be able to knock these little runs out, and I'll probably just give it a once over with the high-speed polisher, just kind of lock everything in. But got the old bumper staged up here, and today we're going to transfer all of these guts and put it into there, and we're going to put that onto that, and then we're going to wash the truck and get it detailed. I got some PDR I need to do and some touch up, and the customer will get his truck back today. And for those of you that are wondering, we don't always paint here in my shop. My little plastic spray booth is sort of for emergency purposes only. When the guys in the back are super busy and really overloaded, sometimes I'll set up my little scenario so that we can keep our customers on track. But we actually have a spray booth in the back of this shop that was in use, and we have 2 spray booths that we're renting down the street from sort of one of our I guess you'd say fellow shops. But yeah, just to verify here, our customers' cars don't always get painted in my little spray booth. We have professional setups, like I said, one in the back and two down the street. So hopefully that answers some questions for some of you that might be wondering. So anyway, let's get to work. Well, we've got the lower bumper buffed and polished, and we're working on the installs right now. So what I've done here is kind of mapped out everything so I can remember the sequence of the bolt patterns as well as the female threads. So got a little bit of work to do here. I'll put this together and get it on the car tonight. So because I'm pretty absent-minded, all of these clips that belong in these retainer holes, what I did was as I took them out, I numbered them on the old bumper. So you'll see 1, 2, 3, 4. All of these numbers indicate which one of these thread certs we're going to use, and because there's two different types here. One of them accepts 13 millimeter thread, the other one accepts 10 millimeter thread. So just a quick tip for you guys, that man, it helps to number everything so you remember where everything goes. All right, back at it. Well, final stages. Put all the guts back in this thing. I'm going to get it mounted up on the truck, and hopefully we're going to send it home here in the next couple of hours. So turned out really good. I buffed and polished this out, and I'm glad I did, because boy, it really looks nice. So we'll finish doing the installs, and boy, as a reminder, let me tell you that organizing your hardware on this bumper is key, because even though there is a pattern, it's pretty easy to get lost. We'll see how easy it is to get back onto the car, if there's any modifications I have to make along the way. But ultimately, it looks like you can just rebuild the whole bumper system down here, right down to the mud flaps. I've left a lot of the hardware detached until I get ready, because based on what I've learned on this bumper, the first place you want to start is down here, and remove this lower black molding down at the bottom. That gives you the ability to access the end cap bolts down here, and that'll help you detach the rear bumper. I'm sorry, the lower bumper, and then that'll give you access to take care of the top bumper. And then you just go in reverse order. Start with the top, get that installed, and then make your way down to the bottom. But yeah, I think we're 95% of the way there, and we'll get this installed and get it back to the customer and move on to the next one. Quick little side note, one thing I wanted to mention are these retainer clips right here. This is the new grill that we purchased, and it does not come with these clips. So you're gonna have to make sure you save all of that stuff. Same thing with the lower molding here, or valance, whatever you want to call it. It has 5 of those clips as well. These get stuck inside of the steel bumper, so just pull them out of the old bumper and reinstall them on these posts right here. You just slide them back down. You'll probably have to, you'll see those 2 little teeth that are down there. You'll probably have to manipulate those a little bit to get them seated on this portion here. But yeah, again, quick little warning, just make sure you save all of that stuff from your old bumper. like all of your threads and all of these clips. So yeah, just a quick warning. Well, that was a pain in the butt. I just got underneath it and used my knees as sort of like a lift to get it lined up so I could get those big end cap bolts through here, and now she's hung up, so ooh, it's heavy. That's a wrap, ladies and gentlemen. So what did we learn today, boys and girls? I'd say first of all, my hatred for Fords has been reaffirmed. This was way more complicated than it needed to be. Gapping this bumper was a challenge, especially with one set of hands, but I think I got it as close as I can. It's all put back together, and that's a wrap. I'm calling it, because I got to the last portion of the install and now it's starting to dump, which is pretty typical. So neato. At least it's getting pre-washed. But yeah. So to recap here, what I would suggest if you ever get into these bumpers, start down here with this lower valance. Pull that out and then pull that lower grill. Once you pull that lower grill, that's going to expose all of the 21 millimeters that keep the steel bumper in place on the end of the frame rails. That'll give you access to the top of the bumper, and then you can just unzip it from there and then reverse engineer it on your way back to install. But woo, what a challenge, man. It's done, and so am I. So hopefully the customer's happy with it. I am. Paint came out great, and after several hours of gapping this thing, I'm pretty pleased with where we're at with this. It's got a couple of door dings I need to fix and some touch up here and there, but done deal. So that's it. And the last thing to do is to hang my trophy on my trophy wall. Just got to find room to do it. These are all of my patients, and anytime I get an emblem, I hang it on my wall to remind me of all the cars that I fix. Of course, I fixed a lot more cars than this. It's just those were the ones that donated their emblems because they needed to be replaced. So that's a wrap for me. Now I got some hail work to do here on this caddy, so got my weekend cut out for me. Hope you all have a great weekend. Enjoy. Be safe. Take care.